Hello, this is Andrew Thake from Minds and Money. Delighted to be joined with us today by Christopher Brown, who's the Chief Executive Officer of HeliosX. A warm welcome to you, Chris.
Well, thank you for having me.
But you can start off by telling our listeners a little bit about HeliosX.
Sure. HeliosX is a lithium brine focused entity. We have international operations in Argentina actively with a partner called Lithium. We have operations in Nevada, which we operate, as well as in Canada for some very interesting lithium brine prospects here.
And for those viewers who don't know the difference between lithium brine and hard rock, can you give us sort of like a layman's explanation?
Sure, that's a fantastic question. And it's always good to educate the viewers in terms of an understanding of differentiating between the two. So lithium in the hard rock form is your traditional mining. When you go out for gold or any of your other precious resources and you're doing the hard rock, you're excavating, you're digging into shallow earth reservoirs and pulling out the most precious component of that. In our case, it would be lithium. Lithium brine is different. Lithium brine is in a fluidized form under the ground. So the best way to think about it is like the oil and gas industry. So we'll be drilling sometimes shallow and sometimes deep for lithium prospects that could be near surface or they could be deep under the earth. It provides a far broader opportunity for lithium brine exploration globally.
You mentioned that at the start, the location of your projects. I'm keen on taking a bit of a deeper dive. Can you perhaps kind of go over each of your individual projects and what are the prospects for the remainder of 2022 and I guess also looking into 2023 as well?
Sure. So in Argentina, we're partnered with a group called Lithium. Lithium is a subset of an entity called Pluspetrol. Pluspetrol is one of the largest oil and gas producers in Argentina and naturally saw a correlation between reservoir understanding in oil and gas towards lithium exploration. And they've been amazingly successful in Argentina for development through to commercial production of lithium brine resources to reserves in Argentina. So as a partner, we created a joint entity. So we're shareholders in the same company in Argentina and working on one of the largest lithium plays in Argentina today. And so in this region, we have identified high concentrations of lithium well into the commercial area, but we're currently working with the indigenous communities because it's important to have proper indigenous consultation. And so through 2022, we'll continue our indigenous consultation to ensure that we have all communities buying into the opportunity that we've identified. And then in 2023, our plans are to more aggressively drill the asset. And in this unique case, go for deeper plays that have not been explored for before in Argentina. In Nevada, we're continuing our exploration front. We operate all of our assets in Nevada. We have a couple of opportunities there for resource definition and delineation. We have lithium indications so far in Nevada, but they're in just the shallow zones. So in Nevada, our exploration would look at drilling some deep wells to better delineate the reservoir complexes. We may want to continue through to commercialization. But unlike Argentina, Nevada will be slightly smaller plays. So Nevada, we're targeting 5,000 TPA type of prospects versus in Argentina, you have upside potential to 20 to 40,000 to 60,000 tons per annum type of production opportunities. So there is a bit of differences when you're looking at reservoir size for opportunities, but in this lithium market, both assets are fairly strong on that front. In Canada, we're actually in the initial exploration phases of that. This is in our backyard. We have an excellent understanding of approval processes in Canada. We have fantastic indigenous relationships in our assets, in our regions. And so for Canada, it's more about identifying the resource that's much deeper. So the plays in Canada are not surface indications. You have to drill deep in order to identify the resources there. So in there, we're dealing with large structural reefs under the ground that contain large volumes of lithium brine. And we're talking billions of barrels of opportunities throughout the Canadian basin, not just in our assets, but throughout the entire basin. And so we're undertaking a detailed geological study to identify all the lithium prospects throughout the Western Canadian basin currently this year. And then by next year, we're going to define some definitive drilling targets to continue through and go deeper into the ground to more crystallize the opportunity for investors.
When you're talking about your Argentinian opportunity there, you mentioned the work you were doing with indigenous communities. What other work are you doing to kind of help with ESG, both working with the local communities, but also sort of ensuring that you're also environmentally friendly as well?
Yeah, the ESG is so important these days, and it's a priority for our organization as well. Some of the things that we do on the ESG front is we actually have an indigenous representative on our board of directors. And so he provides a lot of guidance on how to deal with Indigenous communities, not only locally, but internationally. So that's a valuable asset to have on our board. We're one of the only entities with an Indigenous member on our board of directors as well. So when we're working with the communities, it's important to emphasize that things have changed. It's the largest issue we deal with is understanding the change that's occurred to positive environmental movements. A lot of the Indigenous communities have been fooled in the past by mining companies that said one thing and did another, and or created these large tailings ponds for evaporation ponds, unbeknownst to the Indigenous community, the large size of the footprint that was going to incur on their lands. And so our goal is education. So in Indigenous communities, it's engagement, educate, and display to them that we're moving away from large evaporation ponds for lithium development into direct lithium extraction technologies, which will minimize the footprint and actually provide the Indigenous communities better access to opportunities for jobs, education, and various other things that could add values to those communities. So we're a lot of our work that we're doing right now with Indigenous communities is pure education and really explaining how the industry has changed and evolved to be more positively environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the management team that you've assembled.
Sure. So a little bit of background on myself. I'm a chemical engineer by background. I've done over a decade of experience in subsurface analysis in the oil and gas side. So I'm intimate on identification and stratigraphic analysis of any type of reservoir, whether that's oil and gas or lithium is a perfect example of how those skill sets cross over very efficiently. And then I've done another 10 years of international work identifying large resource opportunities for global institutions to invest in. And so these are risk reward analysis, statistical analysis of resource potential, and incorporating technical and financial knowledge to be able to identify places for institutions to invest billions of dollars around the world. And then in 2016, we started Helios Corporation, and we thought we'd bring all of our technical expertise together to focus on environmentally positive initiatives. And lithium brine was one of our focus areas because we thought we could add a lot of technical expertise to this industry that don't currently exist. And so with our subsurface understanding of lithium brines, we believe our team is industry leaders. We've come up with geological models that have not been done before in the lithium brine space. And so we think that we're well ahead of the competition in terms of the technical expertise we bring to the table for investors.
Tell us a little bit about your investor base and your key shareholders.
Well, right now we focused, originally acquired a public company in January of 2022. So HeliosX in its own right is a relatively new entity. So along those lines, that company was predominantly a retail-based investor group. Our focus, and given our institutional backgrounds with our firm, is to draw in more institutional interest to the story. In doing so, we're just about to announce the closing of, hopefully in the near future, of a private placement we previously announced with a large institution out of the US. So with that one, they're going to invest $4.6 million US at a price, Canadian equivalents of 85 cents Canadian. Today we trade at 70 cents. And so this is what the knowledge that I'm working with institutions brings to the table, is they were able to dig into the technical information, and we were able to really explain to them the value of the company and where we're at today in order to convince them to essentially come in at such a premium to where we're trading today. And this is the value of institutions, that we're looking for long-term shareholders that are not only here for today, but for tomorrow. So you'll see over the years that we will be drawing more institutional interest to the story.
And if you had to summarize that, I mean, of course, everyone gets the battery metals investment thesis, everyone gets the importance of lithium within that thesis. But if I had to do one caveat, there's obviously a lot of lithium players out there. If you had to say what are your unique selling point that kind of makes you stand out from the rest of the competition, what would it be?
Well, there's two key items. One is our diversification of our asset base across 3 jurisdictions. We aren't necessarily even going to stay to that limitation. We're currently doing a global resource evaluation for all exploration opportunities for lithium brine, given our past history of working I've worked in over 52 different jurisdictions around the world. And so we're definitely going to leverage off those previous contacts to see what other opportunities we could to grow the company. So our access to that is fairly unique amongst the lithium companies. And our second one is our technical qualifications. Now, there has been a lot of historical lithium companies with no technical background on the detailed engineering and reservoir engineering that's required to truly commercialize these opportunities. And we believe we're industry leaders on the technical backgrounds to make these and bring them to commerciality. Well,
thank you very much for your time today, Christopher. I would encourage all of our viewers to go and check out HeliosX, which is TSXV HX. Thank you for your time, Christopher. This was Andrew Thate from Mines and Money.